Welcome to Day 152. I'm so glad that you have joined me here today. Pages 420, 21, and 22, excerpts of 852 from the novel TheSovereignLight, A Course in Metaphysical Spirituality. And my name is Reverend Maria Arvanitidis. How do you do? Perhaps the unachievable are these things that appear, and when not in proper alignment with a preference of their outcome, procrastination can become a safety mechanism, and to the very resistance that reflects as opposition. Everybody's busy, has their things to do, their own way of doing and keeping busy, and deadlines and so on and so forth. And today, this affirmation, anywhere you may find yourself, is home. And center. And take a few deep breaths in and out, and in and out. And yes, we're all here to heal. And I thought this was very appropriate. This mural is so very beautiful at Girard and almost Broadview, a little east of there. So very beautiful. And so with that said, let's begin. In truth, there is no such thing as failing, and rather a redirecting toward something else. In truth, there is no such thing as failing, and rather a redirecting toward something else. In truth, there is no such thing as failing, and rather a redirecting toward something else. Today, this is the chorus to the many verses and the lyrics to this song for today. This affirmation, this activation, this perspective to filter through and perceive. Very busy place indeed. This is where you can leverage yourself and see where exactly you're at. These are the indices that help in the level of exactly how much we can ground and center. And with a few deep breaths in, find the stillness, let it sink in. When the interest in something that is not in the same to least bit interested, and rather interested in something else, that the self might not be interested in, then a gap is created. All these distractions, the noise, these takeaways, an overwhelm of things, if you will. So free will can mysteriously choose an aspect of itself to bond with, and that is not in favor of this kind of bondage to explore and in the sharing of expansion. Sometimes we attract things to us without even realizing it. And all these goals can be apparently meaningless and therefore unreachable. How does the self cooperatively work and alongside such exclusions? Does it get out of the way, or have it stand to compromise its feeling of accomplishment? Where we go in places where we feel like we don't belong, and there's still things that we can learn. And the shifting will take place, and regardless of that integration, it upheld for its impediment. So let them go for the premonitions they might be, and in the making for self later. Pursuit of the imagined, and when in the state of separation to start with, must also end with death. Only when the perception is possible to differ can the other be attainable, and only with love from this place that feels of oneness. In this oneness is the full circle of completion, with no interruptions of beginning and end, and to such degree for the ability to transmute existence. The shift in perception transfigures the physical through this transcendence, with the innocence of never been there and to never having done that before, the unquenchable search and for something in the eyes of curiosity unfathomable. And I'm right across is St. Anne's Church. I thought it, like right across from it is a church even. Isn't that something? Well, obviously, it's so important. And so, in truth, there is no such thing as failing. Rather, a redirecting toward something else. In due diligence, every goal is obtained, and unlike previously imagined of these plans to fall by the wayside for something even better, the kingdom of heaven knocks at the door, and the readiness is in the accepting of it, to see it in the light with the eyes of a child and not be blinded. In heaven, the weather is perfect, always. There are no gaps, and the canvas is not torn into segments, nor four. The schools of learning do not require for any suffering, and everything is in the doing from love. The threat of being left behind is really in the fear of leaving it behind. Rather, inclusiveness is where the self must be and always feeling from its world. This is what it means, and to be within alignment to the presence of the self, rather than for the exclusion of its essence. Allot some time now, and with eyes closed, to turn on the projector of the mind. Review the world, and from which the thoughts have been sent back to. Take only the compatible thoughts of truth, and that will not fail the self. Then sink even deeper into the darkness of the mind, where the door to source is found. The doors are open, and the light so bright is the clarity, and that brings forth understanding to everything observable. This is the enlightenment, and from which all things are aspired to ascend. Here, the searching is quenched for, and in the state of gladness, heaven is exposed. In truth, there is no such thing as failing. Rather, a redirecting toward something else. Take this moment of grace to repeat and be reminded often. And like a prayer-like supportive, these following statements with today's idea can be repeated or said out loud with me right here and now. Ready? And with a few deep breaths in and out. Really feel it. Breathe from your heart in and out. Sounds good. My thoughts were borrowed from a world I did not really know as mine. It was there to serve me in this way, that I may learn from it and what it is I do want by how I feel. My feelings are made up of emotions to the thoughts I have now, matched up to lead me in the right direction. In truth, there is no such thing as failing. Rather, a redirecting toward something else. My thoughts were borrowed from a world I did not really know as mine. It was to serve me in this way that I may learn from it and what it is I do want by how I feel. My feelings are made up of my emotions to the thoughts I have now, matched up to lead me in the right direction. In truth, there is no such thing as failing. Rather, a redirecting toward something else. Explore the essence of the self rather than its presence of the state it is transmitting in the creation of the now, and to be left aside to focus only on what is preferred. Study the circumstances well, and from it, what it is, the state of mind that is preferred. Is it in the radiance of being here and now? Or is it in the compromise of what once was, reflecting back its essence? The paradox can only be and when there is too much contemplation to explain for meaning. Always move in the direction of what feels best and just let it go the other. The single purpose for today is and has always been forevermore eternal to be the function of the light. In this plan, the many do come together to congregate as one with the self, as this reminder in love and with enlightenment. And for those who were able to go within and have your eyes closed, you can slowly start to come around and breathe and blink your eyes open to this affirmation. In truth, there is no such thing as failing. Rather, a redirecting toward something else. My thoughts were borrowed from a world I did not really know as mine. It was there to serve me in this way that I may learn from it and what it is I do want by how I feel. My feelings are made up of emotions to the thoughts I have now, matched up to lead me in the right direction. So in truth, there is no such thing as failing, rather a redirecting towards something else. And throughout the day, when your circumstances and others who you've engaged with as a team perhaps even make you feel bad about yourself so that they can feel better and showcase how much better they are. And perhaps you're slowing them down, and it's frustrating and stressing them out because you're not a robot. Just think what it is that's causing this reality to make you feel like you're failing. Perhaps you've lowered yourself to a place where others do not deserve your presence. And you can tell by the level of, is there like abuse going on? Is there any kind of, it could be emotional, it could be spiritual, it could be physical, it could be a lot of things. Before it used to be considered rude to point at people. Now it can be considered harassment. And how people kind of go into your space. So some of us are really sensitive, and this world is picking up on this and creating rules and regulations that, hey, you can't do this, man. And so I don't know if it's the COVID, and how long this is going to be around until people can actually start taking responsibility for themselves. And so, in truth, there is no such thing as failing. We're never failing. Rather, are redirecting towards something else. And we just keep going. What feels good? We do not have to contribute in a way of suffering to call it work. Once we know we're not feeling good and others are causing this disease, not at ease, then it's time to just let it go. Let those things, engagements go. And let's keep moving on to what feels good. I hope you can join me for the next lesson, and that you can get something really beneficial, because we're all here to heal. Thank you so very much. Bye-bye now.